Glad nobody heard that. So anyway, welcome to I Take the Lead, and we are doing one of our webinars today, and we invited Deb Wise to come in and be our featured speaker. I asked her if she could come, and she's going to share some information about AI, how you can save money with it. Um, there's ways to not save money with it, and there's ways to save money, save time and money. So Deb's gonna I'll let Deb do her introduction. She'll be sharing some info, and I'm gonna ask everybody to mute themselves except for Lynn and me. That way you can unmute yourself when it's time for questions and answers. But that way, if something happens and it won't disrupt the flow. So anyway, Deb, you want to go ahead and tell us who you are and why you're here?
Thank you again, Becky, for having me. My name is Deb Wise, and I do AI consulting, integrations, and coaching. And we are going to learn today how to save money with AI. So let me go ahead and get this shared. All right. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can.
absolutely.
Excellent.
It looks like Rosie the robot over there from the Jetsons.
I know, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. Okay, so when AI saves you time and money, what actually works and what doesn't, and how to keep it simple.
Okay.
Not when it looks impressive.
Yeah.
Not when everybody else is using it, but when AI genuinely moves the needle. And in this session, we're going to go over how to get clarity and better decision making. We're not going to be going over any tools. For those who haven't heard me speak before, which I think almost everybody here has, I've been working in tech and marketing and business consulting for 20 years. And I've worked with small businesses and larger, more complex organizations like Cal State University. So I've seen how processes scale and where they break. Over the last year and a half, I've been focused specifically on applying AI to real workflows, not experiments, but actual business operations. And what I've consistently seen is whether you are a solopreneur or you are a big corporation like Cal State, if AI isn't working for you, AI is not the problem, it's the application. So here's the recap for those who attended the mini webinar. Number one, right tools, wrong problem. You can have an excellent tool solving a completely unimportant issue. Two, interesting work over expensive work. We automate the content before we automate the quoting or reporting. And number three, no clear measure of impact. If we don't know what success looks like, everything feels vaguely useful. Therefore, most AI frustration is a clarity problem. So let's talk about why businesses misapply AI. Tool first thinking. We start with what should I use instead of what's this costing me? Two, shiny object bias. AI feels innovative, so we apply it where it's visible. Fear of missing out. Everyone else is doing something, so we need to do it too. Lack of workflow clarity. If you don't understand your own process, AI just magnifies confusion. So let me give you a real life example of how this shows up. I worked with a small service-based business that had already invested in 3 different AI tools. They were really excited and they were experimenting and they were generating content and drafting emails, and they were even playing with some automated reporting. On paper, they were using AI, but when we step back and look at their actual workflows, something interesting came up. Their biggest bottleneck wasn't content, it wasn't brainstorming, and it wasn't reports. It was actually quoting. Every proposal required manual review, revisions, back and forth approvals, and it delayed revenue by days. AI wasn't applied there at all. So they were automating the visible work, but not the expensive work. And that's what tool first thinking does. It feels productive, but it doesn't really change the economics of the business, which is why then the real question becomes, what task is this replacing? If you heard the shorter version of this webinar, you've seen this question already. In the mini, we talked about this as a simple filter. In the full version, I want to go one level deeper because not all tasks are equal. Replacing a 5-minute task once a week doesn't change your business, but replacing a 30-minute task that happens 40 times a week, it absolutely does. When you evaluate replacement, you have to consider 2 things, cost and frequency. A low-cost task done constantly can get really expensive, and a high-cost task done occasionally might not justify even using AI or implementing any automations. For example, if AI helps you draft a social media caption in 30 seconds instead of 5 minutes, that's nice. But if AI reduces the time it takes to prepare a proposal, review contracts, or handle client onboarding, that can directly impact your day-to-day revenue. The magnitude matters. So the real question isn't, what task is this replacing? It's, is this task significant enough to matter? Because I can replace something and it still might not save you anything meaningful. This is where a lot of businesses get misled. They feel productive because AI is being used, but productivity and impact aren't the same thing. Once you've identified a task that actually matters, then the next question becomes, how is AI creating value here? Replacement, reduction, or leverage. AI doesn't create value in one way. So let's dig deeper into these 3 layers. Replacement means AI fully takes over a task. That eliminates time and labor costs. So let me give you a couple examples. A common replacement example is first draft writing. Instead of spending 30 minutes drafting a proposal outline, AI generates a structured draft in 2 to 3 minutes. You still review it, but all of the heavy lifting is gone. Another clear replacement example is meeting transcriptions and summaries. Instead of someone manually taking notes and writing follow-ups, AI generates structured action and allows you to put them in a list value so it's all automatic. That eliminates a recurring low-value task. Reduction. AI reduction is when it is reducing friction. It speeds up part of the task or the resources and reduces errors. Reduction is often underrated, but it compounds. So it might look like drafting a proposal manually, but using AI to refine clarity and tighten the language and catch inconsistencies. This task still exists, but it's cleaner and faster. Or imagine a weekly report that still requires human oversight, but AI aggregates all the data and flags anomalies. The humans still decide, but the friction drops. Reduction doesn't eliminate work, it just reduces drag. Leverage increases output, but increases headcount. This is where strategy starts to really matter. Not every workflow qualifies for all three, and that's why evaluation is needed. Leverage might look like taking one core message and tailoring it intelligently, say that 5 times fast, across segments without hiring more staff. That increases output without increasing headcount. Or using AI to synthesize large amounts of data so leadership can make decisions faster. You're not replacing leadership. You're simply amplifying it. Leverage isn't about saving time. It's about expanding capacity. Not every workflow qualifies for all 3 layers, but that's why evaluation matters. When we talk about whether AI is worth it, we usually think in terms of subscription costs, but the subscription is rarely the most expensive part. The real costs are usually hidden inside your workflows. Time cost is most obvious, but it's often underestimated. Owner time is not free, and senior staff time is also not free. If a founder spends 3 hours a week reviewing something that could be streamlined, that's not just 3 hours. That's decision fatigue, and that's loss of strategic focus. Time spent on low leverage work is a hidden task as a business owner. Labor cost is more visible, but often miscalculated. Manual repetition compounds, small efficiencies repeated 200 times becomes really expensive. If a team member spends 10 extra minutes per client onboarding and you onboard 20 clients a month, that's over 3 hours monthly. One micro efficiency. Multiply that across all of your workflows and see how much money that saves you. Opportunity cost is what isn't happening because attention is tied up elsewhere. If leadership is buried in operational review instead of business development growth slows, but you don't see a line item for it. Opportunity cost is invisible, but it's often the most expensive. Friction cost is the cost of drag, context switching, waiting on approvals, rework, handoffs. A task that requires 3 approvals might only take 15 minutes of work, but then it's 2 days of waiting. AI is often most powerful when it reduces friction, not just labor. So before you even think about tools, the real question is, which of these costs are we actually dealing with? And that's where structured evaluation becomes critical. If you take nothing else away from today, take this evaluation structure. Because most AI mistakes happen before implementation, not after. We've already talked about this, but here's where we refine it. Name the task clearly, not quote unquote marketing or admin or communication, be specific. Is it proposal drafting, meeting prep, data cleanup? If you can't make the task clearly, then you can't evaluate the impact clearly. Cost isn't just salary, it's time, frequency, opportunity, and friction. A 15-minute task done 200 times a month is not a small task. If you don't know what the task costs, you can't know if AI is even worth it. So now we define the layer of value. If it's a full replacement, the ROI is usually easier to calculate. If it's reduction, then we want to look at speed, error reduction, and stress reduction. If it's leverage, think capacity, not costs. Not every opportunity needs to be replaced to be worthwhile. Most AI implementations fail because success isn't defined. So, how will I measure success? Ask yourself, how long did this workflow take before? And how long does it take now that we're using AI? If meeting summaries used to take 30 minutes and now they take 5, that's measurable. Did this shorten the time between start and finish? For example, did onboarding move from 5 days to 2? Did approvals go from 48 hours to same day? Or did response time to clients improve? Speed can affect cash flow. The sooner you get paid, the better. If reports used to require 2 revisions and now they require 1, then that is also measurable. Or did revenue move faster? Are proposals going out sooner? Are deals closing faster? Are follow-ups happening consistently instead of sporadically? Acceleration is often more value than cost saving. And it's also usually the least measured. Is there less internal back and forth? If a workflow used to require 5 clarification emails and now it requires 1, then that's measurable. Yeah. If a document used to go through 3 approval rounds and now it goes through 1, that's also measurable. If your team stops sending the "can you resend that" or "where is that file" emails, that's measurable. Yeah. Friction shows up in communication volume, and when communication noise drops, then clarity rises. Sometimes the biggest win isn't time saved, it's mental load reduction. If you can't point to a before and after, then it's probably not delivering meaningful value. So this 4-question filter alone will put you ahead of most businesses already experimenting with AI. Now we need to make it practical. You don't need to solve everything today. Just choose one workflow. And by workflow, I don't mean your entire business. I mean one repeatable sequence. Client onboarding, proposal creation, monthly reporting, content production, invoice processing, something that happens more than once. First, identify a recurring task inside that workflow. Preparing documents, reviewing submissions, scheduling follow-ups. Second, who touches this process? One person? Multiple approvals? Internal and external people? The more hands involved, the more friction potential. Mm-hmm. Where does it slow down? Waiting on information, waiting on approvals, clarifications, revisions, manual data entry. If something sits idle, that's friction cost. What does this workflow cost in time, labor, opportunity, or friction? Not what it feels like it costs, what it actually costs. So now you've identified a workflow. You've looked at costs and you've spotted friction. Now comes the most important question. Is AI actually the right lever here? There are really three possibilities. AI can meaningfully replace a task, like eliminating time or labor. If that's the case, the ROI is usually easier to justify. If manual data entry disappears entirely, that's clear. AI can reduce friction by speeding it up, cleaning it up, making it less error prone. And this is often the most realistic outcome. Reduction still creates value. It just requires clearer measurements. Or you may realize AI isn't the right tool here at all. And that's not a failure. Sometimes the real bottleneck is unclear roles, or poor process design, or lack of standardization. AI helps to fix broken workflows and makes those broken workflows faster. It doesn't solve the problem there if you don't have clarity. So the goal isn't to apply AI everywhere. The goal is to apply it where it changes the economics of the workflow. I've seen businesses decide not to automate something after walking through this evaluation, and that decision saved them thousands of unnecessary tools. And even when AI is the right lever, there are still a few common mistakes that can derail the implementation. So even when AI is the right lever, there are still a few common mistakes that quietly undo the value. These are traps that I see the most often. Trap number one is automating broken processes. If the workflow is unclear, inconsistent, or constantly changing, AI is not going to fix that. It will just make the confusion faster. For example, if onboarding requires 5 back and forth clarifications because expectations aren't documented, automating part of that workflow won't solve the core issue. We need clarity first, automation second. Trap number 2 is buying tools before mapping workflow. This is the tool first mindset again. We invest in the software before we understand the flow. If you don't map out the workflow, you don't know where friction actually lives. I've seen teams buy AI reporting tools only to realize that the real bottleneck was data inconsistency upstream. Mm-hmm. So tools amplify structure, they don't create it. Trap number 3 is measuring activity instead of impact. Just because AI is generating output doesn't mean it's generating value. For example, more content doesn't equal more revenue. Mm-hmm. Faster responses doesn't equal better decisions. More reports don't equal better strategy. If you don't define what success looks like before implementation, you'll default into activity metrics. Activity feels productive. Impact changes the result. If you avoid these 3 traps alone, you're already ahead of most businesses experimenting with AI. So, what does all of this actually mean? It means AI isn't a strategy, it's a lever. Before you invest in tools, you want to invest in clarity. Know your workflows, know your costs, know your friction. The businesses that benefit the most from AI aren't the ones experimenting the most. They're the ones evaluating the most. If you start with high cost, high frequency workflows, the ROI conversion becomes much easier. If you start with low cost, visible tasks, you might feel productive, but you won't feel the impact in your business. Mm-hmm. And before you scale anything, measure it. If you can't see a before and after, then don't multiply it. Mm-hmm. When AI is applied well, it doesn't feel flashy. It feels lighter. It feels like fewer bottlenecks, fewer delays, fewer where is that conversations. And it feels like relief. If you're sitting here thinking, I see where this could apply, but I'm not sure where to start, then that's okay. That's where support can be helpful. If this conversation sparked ideas for you, that's great. And if it also raised questions like, where does this actually apply in my business? That's normal too. For businesses that want help thinking through one specific workflow, I do offer an AI strategy session for free. We'll walk through a single process together, evaluate whether AI is worth applying, and identify the next best steps. Sometimes that means yes, and sometimes that means no. The goal isn't to sell you a tool, it's to give you clarity. Mm-hmm. If you're unsure whether a workflow qualifies, that's exactly what the strategy session is for. For businesses that want a broader structured evaluation across multiple workflows, then that's where the AI cost lake audit comes in. It's more comprehensive and systematic, and will look at costs, friction, opportunity across all of your operations. Whether you move forward with me or you just apply what you learned here today, the most important thing is this: clarity before investment. That alone will save you more money than most AI tools ever will. And that concludes this webinar. Thank you for your time and attention. And we are going to move into the questions portion because I'm sure a lot of you have them.
Right. And I'm going to, before you ask your question, unmute yourself. But when you come on to, when you ask Deb a question, first introduce who you are, what you do. It's a small group. We can do that today. So who wants to be the brave person to ask the first question?
Well, it's not really a question. It's more of a comment. What I've seen and what you're putting out here
who are you first?
Lynn Gray, Vulcan Merchant Management. I do credit card processing, for those who don't know me. And from what I've seen, the tough part of AI for a lot of people is you know it's capable of a lot, but you're not sure all it's capable of.
Yeah.
And you're not sure where it can help you. And so you almost have to depend on somebody saying, well, here's, like you say, you've got to have your process. Here's what I do. And have somebody walk you through it and say, well, here's where it might be able to help you. Like somebody I know who's utilizing AI explains, okay, here's where it's helping me. And it's helping me pulling the data together that would otherwise take a lot of time. And so that's the biggest thing is people say, it sounds cool, but it sounds kind of scary, and I don't have a clue. So It's nice. It's nice that there's some people now that are coming out and saying, I've been doing this. I can help you figure out if it's a fit for you or where it's a fit for you. Otherwise, I think other people, the tendency is going to be to just jump in, grab an AI tool, start playing with it, and it's just another plaything to waste time.
Right. That's exactly right. And even before I was doing AI, I was often hired on for companies to streamline processes. So this goes hand in hand with what I've already been doing for
Oh,
years.
okay.
And you would be amazed at major, large companies, national companies that everyone has heard of that have horrible processes. And I was often hired to come in, review processes, create new processes, train the team, and then that would be the end of my contract.
Right.
And so having AI be able to, number one, help me with this job.
Yeah.
And number two, be able to help other people learn how to do some of that for themselves, because a lot of people are not processes thinkers.
Yeah.
And that's where like somebody like me would come in and say, okay, these are the things that you can streamline right away. These are the things that are going to need to be done. And let's compartmentalize all of that and create systems for you and your team that are going to be, number one, measurable. You would be surprised at the number of businesses that don't measure owner time.
Yeah.
A lot of solopreneurs and business owners don't think that their time matters because it's just them, it's their business. But you should get paid too.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So thinking of processes in that way and saying, okay, what is this costing me, not only financially, but emotionally? Also, if you own a small business, you're wearing so many hats. And any little area that you can create a repeatable process that is going to save you by the end of the month, likely hours, is incredibly valuable. And once you're measuring that metric, you actually do see where it's saving you money. In addition to saving you money, it's saving you a lot of emotional labor.
Yeah, I think about just taking away frustrations, or if you can take over some irritating tasks.
Yeah, absolutely.
What were you thinking of, Lynn?
Well, I think Brian Heaton talked about this.
Yeah.
He's done a deep dive into like a sales assistant to go out on the internet and dig up contacts and research specific industries to find clients. And then he's also, because he does AI, he's got his AI then grading each contact it does and saying, okay, this one, then he can take a look at, based on the work the AI has done, and say, well, these look like they're not really worth the effort, even though it's got more data. These over here, because like you say, it can pull up so much data so much more quickly than just somebody working themselves. But that used to be just mind-numbingly tiresome work, hunting down all these things. And now you've got a tool that if you know what you're looking for, and if you're in sales and you are an AI guy, it makes it a little easier because you know how to ask those questions.
Right. And this is a process, like the process that you're describing is a process that previously had to be done manually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the most leads you could probably get in a day using that process is maybe a few hundred if you were really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now you can find thousands a day, and without having a full-time employee doing it.
Yeah. And if you're trying to be industry specific, you're not wasting time. It's dialing it down specific. You can go after those niches. Because we always discover those companies we never even heard of. They're out there. So now you've got a tool that can go ferret those things out.
You're exactly right.
Yeah. So who else has questions?
I'll go.
Okay.
I'm Tim Hare. I am a software developer. And as part of that job, comes a little bit of consulting on the front end. And so what you've described sounds very familiar, but I really enjoyed the emphasis on clarity in the processes and got a chuckle out of the concept of if your if your if your process is confusing, you're just being confused more quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do a lot more confusion in less time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also appreciated the emphasis on identifying what's most important. Where is the biggest bang for the buck going to be? Because you're right,
Right.
there's a lot of stuff you could do that is just inconsequential, and the payoff isn't that big.
That's what I think about
Right.
you, Tim. You fit perfect because you talk about custom software. So you're trying to just put in what's needed and what has bang for buck versus lots of bells and whistles that do nothing for you except take up your time.
Yeah, I think those two things are really important, for anybody. It's clarity and focus are the two big things that really make a big difference.
Yeah. And that even goes without using AI, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
said, even before AI, this is the type of problems that I regularly was hired to solve for companies because for some reason, there's a lot of mystery around what processes can be more streamlined and what things actually are costing. And most of the time, people are measuring cost in dollars, which technically, yes, that's the point of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like I said before, how much emotional tax is this taking off of the business owner or the employees?
Mm-hmm.
My VA I used to have a VA and their whole job was data entry.
Mm-hmm.
That is the most mind-numbing work in the whole wide world. And this amazing person did that all day long.
Wow.
Now, she doesn't have to do that all day long because AI does it for her. And she can now be utilized without costing me any more money to do other tasks or do more tasks that she's managing with AI.
Mm-hmm.
And AI is something that you can not only use yourself as a business owner, but train your team to use so that everything that they're doing can be thought about in a processes type way. And one of the main things that I did when I first came on with a company is I would have them write down any repeatable process that they did. If you did it more than one time a week or even more than 3 times a month, then that was a repeatable process. And then I would have them or their team member write down the steps of the process, or I would observe and I would take note of each step of the process. And it was amazing to find that, number one, lots of people didn't know the steps to the process. They're doing their job every single day. There's no SOP. They were taught by somebody else with no SOP. And one person along the line in 25 years got it wrong. And now it's a game of telephone and the process is being done. Technically, it's not being done efficiently. It takes 10 times longer than it should.
Yeah.
It's not being done consistently because there's no SOP. They're getting different results for the same thing often. And that causes more confusion because you're like, you do this 400 times a month. why is it wrong?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are you still asking these questions? So looking at your processes in that way of, is this something that I do often or even semi-often? And then, okay, these are the individual steps that it takes to get this done. And then we look at, okay, in any of this process, is AI applicable? Because it doesn't all have to be replaced with AI, right? You can take a process that is 80% human and that last 20% AI is going to reduce the time that this process now takes by half.
Absolutely. Where was AI when I was writing our operations manual?
All that.
To...
Well, I heard somebody talking about reaching out to a company, and they asked because they're getting answers so quickly. They said, "Are you an AI bot? Because you're answering very quickly." And so it was yes. So it's amazing the faster response time to clients if you're utilizing AI correctly. That's giving them a better user experience too.
Right. And in that vein of thinking, lots of people that reach out to businesses are, number one, not serious about becoming a customer.
Right.
Or number two, they have the same questions the 300 people who called before them asked.
Yeah.
So having AI be able to answer those questions that everybody who calls your company is asking, and having AI be able to create a streamlined process that, okay, if you really do need to talk to a human, then you get the opportunity to do that. Maybe they book you an appointment, or they reach out to you directly if you have that implemented and say, okay, well, we need a human here, get on the chat. Then having the ability to do those things makes it so you now only have to talk to very serious people, or maybe your clients if they have issues. And your clients are no longer waiting for your attention because you're not talking to the other people who are asking the same questions as everybody else.
Exactly. Thank you. So does anybody else have any questions or comments that they want to make? Jane.
This is Jane. Yes. I'm the.
What do you do, Jane?
I am the different kind of therapist in this group. Anyway, I am small potatoes compared to what you do, Deb. But what I've gotten out of this, two things. One, I use ChatGPT for drafts or figuring out something. I'll feed it something, and I'm just blown away by what I get back sometimes. And places to look for potential clients or whatever. But you said something in here, and I thought, oh, and I wrote it down. A follow-up plan. Now what I need to do is to go back in with all this information and say, what is a plan that I can work with to follow up with all of this or make a path? So that was invaluable. Thank you, Deb, for that. And then number two, about the AI that gets asked 300 of the same questions. I've gone through that recently, and all I want to do is talk to a person. And it keeps asking me over and over again
the same
question. And I just get livid. So anyway, it's just like, yes, I do want to talk to the pharmacist. No, you cannot answer this question. I want to talk to the pharmacist.
Are we talking about CVS? Because I have a personal complaint about that.
I'm sure we all do. It wasn't CVS, it was Ralph's. But anyway, I mean, and that's just one example that happened yesterday. But I know we all deal with the robots on the phone now. But I do thank you for, let's ask ChatGPT with all this great information it gave me, a good follow-up plan for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, of course. With the calling the company, when we're calling like big corporate companies, and they've made it literally impossible to talk to a person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what I help people do.
Well, that's good to know.
Good.
Because
good
I
know,
also hate that very much.
Mm-hmm.
And in any of the integrations that I create, there is a process. If somebody says, I want to talk to a person, or I want to talk to a human, or a string of other keywords that mean real life person, then you're prompted to book an appointment, or you're prompted to give your information for a callback as soon as possible, or you are prompted to please hold and I'll transfer you to a real life person. And then that real life person gets on the chat or the phone, and
that's good.
You can actually talk to that person.
Mm-hmm. Occasionally I'll talk to that real person. I'll say, can I have the robot back? You're not helping me.
The robot
You're not
I prefer the robot.
Yes.
I hear you.
We've all had that person, right?
Well, and the robots are always, I can usually tell because they are so polite.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay, this is not a real person. You're just way too polite and friendly.
Well, they have an AI bot out of New York that's a little bit rude, so you think it's a real person.
Oh, okay. Are you sure it wasn't Boston?
Both. A little short with you.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably code an AI bot to be less polite.
Yeah. I'm
some
sure.
That's like that.
That's a test that I want to play with.
There was a restaurant in Boston that was really popular, and part of it was the waitresses were kind of rude to you.
Oh yeah, my husband was telling me about that. He saw
Durgan Park.
Yeah,
I think it's closed now, but they were a little salty, and it was kind of fun.
So good. Well, does anybody else have any questions for Deb before we? So Deb, so you said you'll sit down, like as a consultant and give people a few minutes and help them walk through a workflow. How much is that service for?
So we can do a free 15-minute evaluation, and
okay.
that will basically just give you a general overview and insight. Obviously, we are not going to rebuild your whole entire process in 15 minutes, but it will give you an idea of, okay, is this process worth using AI in, or where in the process can I use AI? Or if this is something that you can do on your own, or if it's something that you need help implementing. And then that goes into any other services that I offer. And we can kind of determine what direction you really want to go in.
Oh, that's perfect.
Is there a size or type of company you feel is going to be a better fit for this process?
Yeah.
Actually, no. Every single person, if you are a solopreneur and it's just you, then this is even more important.
Okay. Yeah.
If it's just you.
I know there's probably a larger fear of AI for solopreneurs.
There is. And a lot of it, all of it, is circles around lack of information.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different information going around. There's a lot of change with AI still. It's still kind of in consumer beta.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a lot of documentation on it. There's people like me who have spent the last 2 years digging and playing, but outside of that, for accessibility to like small business owners, solopreneurs, there's not really a lot of that available within their price range.
Right.
Yeah.
And I still have people that don't recognize AI videos on social media. It's like, yeah, those animals aren't real.
I know. Well,
Right.
wow, how did they do that?
Monkeys don't ride corgis into battle.
I know.
We all wish they did, but it doesn't
yeah.
happen.
I saw one the other day. It was, of course, it was a kitty video, but the one cat was selling catnip products to the other ones. It was so hilarious, but
There's one page where the cats are always waking them up. They'll come in on a unicycle playing bagpipes. It's just the worst cats on earth.
Funny. Yeah. So Megan or Veronica or Ray, did you have any questions for Deb before we end? Because we need to end pretty quick.
This isn't a question really, but I like how you broke down like the different.
Veronica, who are you?
Veronica,
it's your opportunity.
Who are you? What's your name?
To share what you do, just real quick.
Yeah. Okay. So I work for a company called Odyssey. We have 6 radio stations here in the market. We have 4 on the music side and 2 on the sports side. And then we also have a bunch of events that we do. And I also work on the digital marketing side as well. Yeah, I just liked how you broke down like the different ways that AI can help you, like not just replacing tasks, but like taking the time away that that you need to complete a task, and especially like the brain power and like the fatigue that you get from doing certain tasks, and just like really like it doesn't have to completely replace something that you do to be super valuable.
Right. And I know, like, for me, I hate writing proposals. It is the absolutely worst part of my job. And not only did it take me forever because I hated it, it was often there were things missed, or it took several reviews, or a number of other things. And now I can write proposals in less than 15 minutes. And that's if I take a really long time.
Oh, wow.
Because AI can write it for me. I can read it. I can make little edits here or there where I need. But for the most part, the bulk of that work is done. But there's still more steps to that process that need to be taken before the proposal is ready. But now I can just take those last few steps and get it delivered in a few hours after talking to the client versus in a couple days when they might have changed their mind.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's a
very good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
By the time you finish a proposal, they've moved on.
Yeah.
This has happened to me before.
Oh, I bet.
Short attention span business owner.
Yeah.
Did I talk to you about that?
Good idea. I want to say one thing here. I had a client just before I came on to this, and she was actually getting ready and was stressed about having an AI interview over the phone, which I had never heard of before. So I think this is really interesting that I came over to this. But she was wanting to research what they might ask. I said, just go make the call and answer the questions.
Yeah.
Don't get in your head about it. Just go do it. So for a job interview.
a lot of the bigger companies have completely replaced their hiring process with AI, which, I think is a little bit of a flawed system, because you're missing out on people. Like if you generally expect somebody to have a bachelor's degree, that doesn't mean everybody needs a bachelor's degree. Like I don't have a bachelor's degree, but I've been in the industry for 20 years.
Right.
So I have a little more than the equivalent of a bachelor's degree by way of just living and running my business. But I would never be qualified to work for like Nike, right, as a consultant, because their AI process is, does this person have a degree on their resume? And if you don't, then you're already discarded. So
it's like Tim was probably one of the early guys to get a computer science degree.
Yeah.
The guys who were 4 or 5 years older than him, they dropped out of college to go work on computers because there weren't no degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And there are people who have been in the industry, for a long time who are a lot better at it than I am. So
they built the industry. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but yeah, it's a different world.
Right. Well, good. Well, thank you so much, Deb. I appreciate it. It was really good information. And the whole time I was thinking about when we were starting our business, and boy, the process is, because when you become a franchise company, then
Yeah.
Oh
you
yeah.
have to have processes, and it was so hard. So anyway,
You might have been able to expand a little more in Arkansas with the AI.
I know. Exactly. So anyway, but thank you. Thanks everybody. And Ray, I got your note on Meetup, or from Meetup, or you sent the note. So that's fine. We're glad you were able to make the meeting today, make the webinar today. And thanks everybody.
Yes.
And I'll see some of you at Speed Networking Friday from noon to 1.
Cool. Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding us of
Thank
that.
you, Deb.
everyone.
Thanks, Deb.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you
that was
much.
very good.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.